Hello, everyone, and welcome to MATHurdays. So excited that everyone is here today, and I am super excited to resume MATHurdays. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had one, and happy about the community that we've made together and that we continue to evolve. So let's go ahead and jump into MATHurdays. I am super excited to introduce Lori Fury, who is here with us today. And I am going to try to continue to expand MATHurdays so that we can have more guest speakers, more teachers, teacher leaders, and more take parts in this. And if you are interested in being a guest speaker for us, definitely let us know. But without further ado, Lori, go ahead, give us an introduction of you and what we're in store for today.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Well, it's maybe not morning where you are, but it's morning here where I am. And I am so glad to be a part of what you have been doing and all that you have built in your community. I am new to Math Today, but I am so looking forward to doing math with you this morning. I work in California, and I am a math coach, and I have been for the last 9 years. And before that, I was a middle school math teacher. And I still love middle school the most. Sorry, everybody, if you aren't doing the middle school math thing, but I have some cool math for us to do today, and that's my favorite thing to do with other educators is math. So without further ado, let's hop on into it.
All right, folks. Oh, if we need permissions, don't worry, I got us covered. If this ever happens to you, by the way, you can make a copy of your slideshow and share it through your personal account. Sometimes that happens when we have work emails and personal emails. So let's go ahead and jump right on over to this copy. And that's one way we can kind of change things on the fly, which can be especially useful if, let's say, you're doing a back to school night and you've typically shared through your school website, and then all of a sudden you have parents coming in who can't access. Make a copy in your personal account and share it out that way. On slide 2, we have templates and recordings of past MATHurdays. I encourage you to use those links, make it work for you. And if you would join us on slide 3, 4, or 5, share with us successes or celebrations that are happening in your world. They can be related to math. They can be related to, gosh, anything. They're not restricted to text boxes. You can share your successes and celebrations through an animated GIF, a meme. You can do it through a Bitmoji. You can do it through images, however you like. And welcome if you're just arriving. Here's the link to our slides. We're sharing successes and celebrations on slides 3, 4, and 5. Oh, who's got the lovely Bitmoji? Can you tell us how was week 1 for you and what modality are you teaching? Are you face-to-face, online, blended, asynchronous, synchronous? Robin, go ahead. Oh, we've got a another Bitmoji with a pig in the mud. Who's that? Go ahead and turn on your mic. Tell us, how did it go?
Hi, this is Sheila. I'm the pig in the mud, and it went okay. Tuesday rocked. Wednesday, I was ready to, submit for retirement, and Wednesday was, forget it. Well, Thursday was good, and Friday I was ready for the end. So up and down, but the kids are great, and they love sharing the slide decks, and it's thanks to a lot of your good work this summer. I think a lot of us are feeling more confident.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing. And Raha, you have all of your students joining you daily. How is that?
Hi, Teresa. I just want to say thanks for doing this again. We really appreciate it. We missed you. But yes, it's a lot of like phone calls home and text messages before we started. But Lara and I had all of our kids log in all week and they seem to want to come, which is shocking because I'm crazy. So it's amazing. I feel loved.
I'm sure they're feeling loved, and that's one of the reasons why they're coming. So thanks for being so awesome and a great open teacher. Somebody is starting the new year in a new position as a math coach. Where are you coming from? And what are some ways that you're already using your role as a math coach?
Hi. Yeah, so I just started the new year as a math coach, and it's been a little weird because I didn't have students this week, which was strange for me, but excited to help the teachers, helping them figure out how to teach in a virtual environment and how to take resources and make them work in a virtual way. And that's why I'm so excited for this today. I saw a tweet by you just on how to make a collaborative deck of cards, and I was like, yes, I need this. So I'm excited to learn more.
Wonderful. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for sharing your successes and celebrations. I mean, this is just such a great way to start us off. Um, and I love the way that you use multiple modalities here to showcase them and what you're doing. So, um, alrighty, let's dive right in. Lori's going to take over the lead here. I'm going to support her, and we are going to see some really neat collaborative manipulatives. So, Lori, go ahead and take it over.
Hi, everybody. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your successes. I feel like I started to get to know you a little bit better. I love that. Thanks for that routine. So I have some pre-made collaborative slide decks from using what Teresa shared online and on her YouTube channel. And there are, if you take a look, there are base 10 blocks, US coins and bills, fraction bars, fraction circle sectors, Cuisinart rods, colored discs, and 5 and 10 frames, area tiles, algebra tiles, and dice. These decks are meant to be made copies of, so you can use them today, or you can take them and use them with your students. I had help and guidance from also Chelsea McClellan at Sacramento County Office of Education and making these, but please feel free to use these today if they're helping you do your math thinking. And you can kind of cruise through and check those out. And then on the next slide, the virtual manipulative slide, these are links to lots of different online hosted, I guess we would call them like cloud-based manipulatives. And I know that a lot of students and adults like to use these. And they have basically the same and more from the slide decks of what I made. The only difference is you'll have to take a picture of it if you'd like to retain your manipulative image that you've made. And so today, if you find that these hosted sites are really helpful for you, and when we come back together and share our thinking, if you could take pictures of it or share your screen with your group when you're in a small group, that would be really helpful for us to see your thinking. So Teresa and I are really encouraging you to share your thinking and make your thinking visible in any way that will be meaningful for you and meaningful for the teammates that you're with. And so as we do some work today, I really want for you to pay attention to your agency. You have a lot of different tools and a lot of different things that you can bring to make sense of your math thinking. Some of you like to use words, some of you like to use your voice, some like to chat on the text, some of you like to build models, some of you like to write on paper and pencil, and I encourage all of that. And so I really want for you to pay attention to your agency You can do unmuting of your microphone to share your thinking. You're encouraged to do that if you're comfortable with that. But I want you to think about how will you use your voice, your digital voice. All right, some of you are texters. I see that. That's good. How many of you like to use virtual manipulatives? Drop a little line in the chat about what you think you'll probably end up selecting today. And don't be surprised if you select one thing and then you see somebody else using something different and decide to do that. All right. So on slide 10, investigate this pattern. I want you to think about, without sharing yet, how you see this pattern growing. Now, we have some time. I want to give you think time. You can grab a slide or duplicate or copy or make a new slide or write on paper and pencil. But I want you to think about, how do you see this pattern growing? Feel free to use the online manipulatives or the shared slides, collaborative decks. And I'll just continue to give you some think time before we share our thinking about how we see this pattern growing. Okay, go ahead and start representing your thinking, whether it be in words through the chat box, or if you'd like to unmute your mic, you may do that. But if you could raise your hand so that we don't all talk at the same time, that would be helpful. If you want to take a picture of what you are drawing and insert that in the slide, that would be meaningful. Sheila, did you want to unmute your mic?
Sure. The way I saw it, the pattern was increasing both vertically and horizontally by 1 each iteration.
Now, when you say horizontally, do you mean on the left-hand side or the right-hand side?
So horizontally, I mean it's going to the right. So there's a column added. There's a column and a row added each time. That's what I mean by vertical and horizontal.
Okay, and do you see the row being added at the top or on the bottom?
I saw it added on the bottom.
Okay, did anybody else see it that way? You can type a me too in the chat or give me a thumbs up if there's a way to do that. Okay. I see that one person in the chat typed one more row, one more column, which is, it's a different way of saying that. Joyce typed in some numbers and an expression, and I'm very interested in knowing more about that. Joyce, if you feel comfortable unmuting your mic, you may, or you can type if you'd like to say a little bit more about the expression that you put in our chat.
Well, you started with 3, and then we added a row that had 4, and then 1 underneath the first row. So that was the 4 plus 1. And then the next row we had 4, and we had 2. So then I expect the next row would be added 4 plus 3. So
Okay.
that's why I called it N, because it changes, and I'm not sure where N starts.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. Would anybody else like to say something with their mic unmuted? I can't really tell, Sheila. I already asked for you, but did you have something else to share? No? Okay. All right, let's look at slide 11. I see a pattern that is interesting for me. And this individual used the Didex virtual manipulatives. It looks like the Unifix cube manipulative. And if everybody could look at slide 11 and just explore what this individual has represented. If you have any comments, you can add that in the speaker notes of this slide. Maybe if you have questions or observations, go ahead and use the speaker notes section, this slide 11. Thank you. Yeah, different colors. I see somebody typing about the different colors. Okay. And somebody agreed to that. How many people found that it was useful for this individual to have different colors in their representation? Yeah, Kristen, thank you. Definitely, Lisa, thank you. Okay. Color coding is key for you too, Laura, thank you. And I see another shape that's being formed on this slide, and it's showing some numbers and some letters. Larry, thank you. I agree. Stands out. Remy said something about it being nested inside the next one. I would love to hear more about that. If you want to type or unmute, Remy, that would be helpful.
Hi, I am seeing that you have the different color, the red, and then the red and the orange together will be the second one. And then if you put all three columns together, then you have the 3x5, that is the third one. So I can see that if I put everything together, I can see the first one, 1x3, is nested into the 2x4. And the red and the orange together nested into the 3x5.
Thank you, Remy. How many people see how the word nested works here? Type a me too or say yes in the chat. There we go. Teresa, reminds you of the Russian dolls. Yeah, what are they called? Does anybody know what they're called? Nesting dolls? Amy, number 3, has given us a term. And Sheila, thank you. Did anybody else have a way of seeing this pattern growing that they would be willing to share with us? All right, let's hop down to slide 15. Oh, 26, slide 26. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Caitlin. Everybody hop down to slide 26, please. Caitlin, would you like to share something about your representation?
Yeah, so I saw a square that was progressively getting bigger, and then 2 rows that just kept getting bigger. So I had an x square, and then a bigger x square, and then a bigger x square. And then, so like if x was 1, I have a 1 by 1 square, and then 2 1s. And then if x was 2, I have a 2 by 2 square, and then 2 2s. And then if x was 3, I have a 3 by 3 square and 2 3s, excuse me. So I'm assuming the next one would be a 4 by 4 square and 2 4s.
Okay, does anybody have questions about this representation for Caitlin? You can either type them in the speaker notes or unmute your microphone and pose those questions. Thank you. I see several people typing. There's such a variety in the representations here, and I just really appreciate you using that quiet think time to build your own understanding. And I'm also appreciating this time that we're taking right now to explore one another's thinking. And I do see a couple people making adjustments to their own representations, and I value that very greatly. I'm very interested in slides 23 and 24 also. If we could take a peek at, I'm not sure if slides 23 and 24 go together, but they have the same colors, so
That one was mine.
not sure.
I saw this L. I kind of thought of a Tetris piece, but this L kind of had, while that was constant, it was also growing with these little purple blocks. So then I was starting to think if it's not growing in this kind of predictable way that I was thinking might be linear, maybe there's something to do with the squares, but I didn't get to where 26 was. I only got to where 24 is and starting to think that. So excited to see that L turn into something more square.
Thank you, Teresa. And again, if anybody has comments or questions, feel free to type that in the speaker notes section of those slides. Wonderful. So now I have something new, but related. I think we're going to go to slide 36. Thank you. I love how I can see the little circles populate on the bottom of the slide, so I know where individuals are finding themselves. So on 36 is, why do rich tasks? Could you please look through this slide and find one thing that really stands out for you? And if you could maybe put, oh, somebody already doing it, put a little, put your mark on the one thing that really stands out for you. You could use shapes. You could type your name next to it, or you could draw a little circle, or find your voice on how you're going to represent. You could also probably type it in the speaker notes, and either below or above the citation there. You all are so amazing. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. Productive struggle is standing out for folks, and mathematical discourse, representations. This slide is alive. You are all putting things to it, and it's alive, it's moving. You all are so kind. You're welcome. I'm humbled and amazed at all that's already happened today. What a cool group. And so as we move into this next stage where we're doing a rich task, remember that we're doing this for very intentional purposes as are listed here. And let's move to slide 37, and you can kind of take your problem solving oath. Teresa, do you want to say a little bit about this? This is new to me. I love it.
Sure. I always invite my students, whether they are littles just starting kindergarten or veteran teachers, to make this oath. All you have to do is, if you choose to pledge this today, you type your name in the chat box, and that will help your peers to make sure that you're holding yourself responsible for all the aspects of this. So I'll go ahead and state it out loud. I, Teresa, promise to try my best. I will make sense of patterns and numbers. I will use manipulatives and drawings. I will make mistakes. I will ask questions. I will listen to other ideas. I will stay engaged by always trying to find another solution or representation. I am a problem solver. I make the world a better place.
Thank you. All right, so slide 38. Consider this shape. What do you notice? You'll see that there are some blank slides, well, not blank, but slides that have the shape below. Feel free to claim one of those or duplicate or represent your thinking through one of the really cool hosted cloud virtual manipulatives. Or if you'd like to use one of the collaborative slides that I shared with you earlier on, you may. Or if you want to write on a piece of paper or even a whiteboard, take a picture. Or if you'd like to type what you notice in the chat, that would be wonderful also. And in a moment, I'm going to ask folks to unmute their mics and kind of describe what they notice, similarly to how we did the first routine. Also, feel free to look at other folks' slides and pose questions to them or comments to them in their speaker notes. Okay, is there anybody who would like to use their physical voice and unmute their mic and say something about what they noticed? Laura?
Good morning. So I haven't gotten very far yet. I'm on slide 45. One thing I noticed is that to me, it's easier to look at the shape as a rectangle versus an irregular shape, and I'm starting to notice like the pieces that are missing, and that's just how I can manage an irregular shape.
Thank you, Laura. Was there anybody else who was noticing things about area? If you were noticing something about area, type your name or a yes in the chat for me.
I was thinking of area also. I wanted to change it into a rectangle. Like everything in me did not like the shape, and I wanted it to be a nice rectangular shape.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at slide 44. And I see some typed comments. Go ahead and check out those typed comments, folks. Did anybody get an area different than 18? And then it looks like on slide 44 there's a perimeter. Now you're allowed to type ooh in the comments if that was something that you hadn't thought about. It's one of my favorite modes of response. Thank you, Sheila, for taking me up on that. Oh, Heather, that was the first thing you went to. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at slide 41. This individual used some colors, shapes, and an arrow. And their comment is, I see a 4x4 square if you move that part on the bottom with the extra top and bottom piece. So it sounds like they were kind of moving things around. Was anybody else kind of moving things around in their brain? If you were, you can say something more. Good. People are making comments. I love this community. Oh my gosh, you all are amazing. Whoever typed yet, you're my favorite person right now. That is so cool. I know a couple of teachers who are using in their virtual classrooms, instead of typing the IDK, they're encouraging their students to type IDKY, the Y standing for yet. So I don't know yet. Wow. Very thoughtful interaction happening on this particular slide. Does anybody want to unmute their microphone and say something? And so Lydia has said, I wanted to make the first row of 3 blocks, second row of 4 blocks, third row of 5, fourth row of 6 blocks. And so I'm imagining, Lydia, you're building something that looks similar to a pyramid or steps. Okay.
Yes, actually steps, because by just moving those little, on slide 41, the 2 blue squares, if I move it to the bottom, it would make it 6 blocks. So then it kind of goes in progression. And I guess it goes back to kind of making it look symmetrical. And that was a problem I was having, but it's a great problem for area and perimeter too.
Thank you. Now feel free to go back to your own representation and modify it as things kind of come out and you start having different realizations. And then I also want us to cruise over to slide 49. If anybody would like to share kind of how so whoever made this, feel free to decline, but if you could maybe say a little bit about this, I find this very intriguing. You could
So I initially thought of it as like it needed to be like a perfect square, a perfect rectangle. And I first saw like the 3x3 on the left one. And then I thought, well, it could be bigger. So I didn't like those pieces sticking out. So I wanted to move the one that I X'd out over into the corner. And then I noticed we're just missing 2 to make a rectangle.
Thank you so much, Kristen. How many of you were trying to rearrange this shape to make it something more regular looking? Colette says yes, and Heather says yes. Media, yes. Teresa, thank you. So I think we all agree that this figure has 18 for the area. Yeah, Sheila, you do have the power. Oh, Tracy, you were folding it. That's interesting. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and yesterday she really wanted to make a treasure box. So she had the paper cut out, and she made a net. So what you were just saying, Tracy, made me think about my daughter making a net, folding it up to make a treasure box. Lots of really outside of the box and open thinking happening right now. So I think we all agree that the area is 18 squares. Let's go to slide 58. And I think with this question, I think that we are going to send you into breakout groups. The question is it possible to make a figure with 18 squares that has a different perimeter? And then there's a few questions that follow it that I want you to process with first by yourself, give yourself some individual think time, and then with a small group. So the first question again is it possible to make a figure with 18 squares that has a different perimeter? And then what if we looked at a figure with an area of 19? And then I want you to kind of explore the figures with area of 19 and record the figure itself along with what perimeter that figure yields.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start up breakout rooms. If you notice, you have your own breakout room set of slides. They begin on slide 63. That's for group 1, which you can see from the presenter's notes. Group 2 will start on 67, and so on. And so we're going to go ahead and start breakout rooms, and you can actually record right there on your group slides. And our breakout rooms are starting now. Go ahead and turn on your microphones and say hello to your new buddies. All right, Lori, it's just you and me in the main room here. If you click in Collaborate on the Attendees tab, you'll be able to move between the different groups by clicking a little green arrow. Do you see that, or do you want me to model that?
Can you model it for me,
Yeah,
please?
no problem. All righty. I'm going to give you the vortex, but really just look at the white tab. So in Collaborate, you would have had this little tab with a control panel you can open and close. And the second one over is attendees. And
Hold on,
that's where
Teresa,
you
I'm
can
not seeing.
What was that?
I don't see what you're sharing.
Do you have the little purple tab opened up? Where the chat
The one that
box?
has all the attendees?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
All right, perfect. There's
Go
a
ahead.
little tiny green arrow where you can just pop right into the different rooms and pop into another one super easy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good to go.
Yes, all of that same color keeps saying group 3. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're all on slide 71, and this is the same shape we were just working on together, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
22. All right, so should we jump down to the next slide and see?
Sure.
Sure. When I was also thinking, what is this? 5 by 5 minus 7. Right.
Say that again?
Slide 83 was a 5 by 5 minus 7.
Okay.
That's just, I don't know why I said that, but.
Yeah, somebody had like the 25 perfect square with the 7 missing.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw.
Minus 7. Gotcha. Okay. I never think like that.
No, me typically either.
So you just want to bring this figure down?
And we can actually just draw an 18 squares horizontally.
Right.
That gets a perimeter of what, 38?
Right. Right.
We can do a different shape if you'd like.
6, yeah, 18 perimeter and 18 square inches.
Mhm.
So the perimeter is 18 and so is the area.
Mhm.
Oh, that's nice. Making that curve, making it move over.
Yeah, I was trying to put in an arrow to show like how you could just literally take that one and move it up into that spot and have a difference.
Nice.
Right, because that would be 5 and 5,
Mm-hmm.
and 4, and 2, and 1 and 1. Right, 5 plus 5 plus 4. That one side has 4. And then we've got 2 and 1 and 1.
Yep, you got it.
That's exactly what I was.
Hi there, group. I see we got some things down in the bottom here and drawings.
Area of perimeter of 6, 12, 13, 14, 16.
I think we're trying to see how many different shapes we can make.
Mm-hmm.
Area shapes. Oops.
So what grades do you all teach?
7th and 8th grade.
I'm a coach at 8.
And we're doing sequences and patterns in grade 8 right now. So for me, I'm just thinking, how do I turn this into patterns?
Yeah, it's neat the way that we're talking about area and perimeter now. And you know, if this pattern were like if you guys were able to make every single rectangle out there, I wonder if the areas and the perimeters for every single possibility have any kind of a relationship to each other.
Well, it just
So
takes
that's
me
an
back.
investigation.
Sticking with the array, yeah.
Takes me back to remembering that square. I think of the square as being like the perfect rectangle. So as close to the square as we get, we're going to get a smaller perimeter with the area. And the more stretched out, like our one at the bottom, the 18 by 1 will give us the maximum perimeter with the same area.
But wouldn't the square give the greatest area?
Well, if we had, let's say, instead of 18 squares, if we had 16 squares,
Right.
then we're going to have an area of 16, perimeter of 16, then we back that down to an 8 by 2. That gets a still 16 area, 8, 8, 16, 17, 18 perimeter. And then let's see what else. 8 by 2, 4 by 4, 8 by 2. 1 by 16 would give us a perimeter of 34.
Right.
So let's say the more rectangular we get, the greater the perimeter.
Right.
And the closer to the square we get,
The smaller
yeah,
the perimeter.
smaller the perimeter, right. And that's something I even go back and do with my 8th graders in our geometry units because I think it's something they should have explored in elementary, but I don't know that they did. So the 2 by 9.
Yeah, I'm not sure what standard it is with Common Core. I'm in Virginia, and we are not one of the many, many, many Common Core states. But in sixth grade is when they're supposed to kind of recognize that the more squarey it is, the tinier the perimeter, the more stretchy it is, the larger the perimeter. But I've also seen this one brought up in Algebra 1 when they start to graph these different shapes on a coordinate plane. They graph the length, the width, and the perimeter, and those three pieces as different coordinates. And they make a predictable pattern, but it's an interesting one for kind of an Algebra 1 class.
Right. And then you could almost extend it to like a volume of a rectangular prism versus a cube as they progress up.
That would be
And compare
neat.
that with surface area versus volume, I think. And I'm looking at this. I have an 8th grade geometry class. They are also in algebra. So we go back and we pull a lot of elementary, and I'm in Texas, so ours are TEKS, and we pull a lot of those and go back and go over some little details that kids forget, like when you're writing, how do you write the symbols and things like that. And so something like this, and our classes this year, most of our kids are coming to school, but I've got 4 of my geometry kids who are remote, and I'm thinking we could even, and we're not supposed to do any synchronous learning, but I could probably sneak one in and pull the kids in class and the ones at home, and they can all talk together. I think we could do it once or twice maybe. An exploration like this would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And we're running short of time, so I wonder if we should go on to the next slide.
All right. Yeah.
77. What if we looked at a figure with an area of 19? So you still go back to, you have that 19 by 1.
Yeah.
And
Then you have to start to make irregulars, right?
right, yeah. And so if you just consider, yeah, that one's definitely, since it's a prime number, you only have one rectangle.
Right.
There. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to type at the bottom. Perimeter of 44 units.
19.
Let's sneak on to the next question too and see what 78. Hey, if we slide down to 78, I like that one.
Yeah, it's 4 figures with an area of 19. Record and so like what we did before.
Regular. Six, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
One minute. No, it does not move over.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Alrighty. Welcome back, everyone, to the main room. We are all back together now. I know I had a terrific time exploring this, and I was with a group of middle school teachers. We were talking about how to change this up to work in an 8th grade class, a geometry class, and an Algebra 1 class, and we had some great ideas. But Lori, I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you for closing us out today.
Thank you. Thank you. I was enjoying the conversations as well. And I know that people had different ways of navigating the tools, and there were some different degrees of comfort for folks speaking out and sharing their thinking. And I think that speaks to the diversity of students that we work with. And I want to honor that. And a lot of folks like to think a little bit more on their own and explore. And I even had some people who explained to me that some of the things we were talking about earlier had their brains really activate on another thought. And so they kind of were off to the side thinking about something different than the presented problem. And that's fine. That's totally fine. There's no end game of coming out of a rich task with some understanding of some specific content area. It's more of learning the practice of thinking and thinking collaboratively and representing your thinking in different ways. And so I really want to encourage and honor that sort of activity is very normal. In fact, we probably all have seen our own students kind of go off onto the side and start thinking about something completely unrelated to the current task. And that's normal and natural, and that's how our brains work. And so again, thank you so much for being willing to explore this problem solving session and for doing some different things. Some of you found collaboration to be meaningful and helpful for you. I would like for some folks to share that. Which pieces of the collaboration were the most meaningful for them? So if you can either type or unmute your microphone and share what meaningful collaboration was for you during that session. I'll give you some time to think about that prompt. Larry has a question about connecting the slides to the breakout rooms that I'm sure Teresa could give some feedback on. Sheila, thank you. Our group discovered that the whiteboard was available as a tool in this platform. Okay. Did anybody find an idea from a partner that activated a new idea in their own mind? Mm-hmm. Somebody said, let's just make all the rectangles. Using a number line. Oh, interesting. Are you willing to unmute and say more about that?
Sure. I did not think of that, and I would love for my group member who thought of it to take over if she'd like. But basically, what she outlined was drawing a number line and skip counting like 1, 3, 5 on on the top of the number line, and then creating a square in each of those positions, and then a square in the even number positions below that, so that you have a total of 19 squares, and creating sort of jagged tooth-like shape, sort of like a Halloween jack-o'-lantern smile. And that gave us a larger perimeter. I don't know if that makes sense. It did when she explained it.
Thank you, Sheila. If that makes sense to you, you can type in the chat. That makes sense. And Caitlin said, I make them all squares. Are you thinking of, Caitlin, are you thinking of making the full shape into a square with all the little pieces? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, thank you for that comment. Very interesting. And so, we had a lot of different directions to think, and you can see there's lots of different directions this problem can go, and there's some extra slides, so to speak, that I didn't end up exploring today, but you could with yourself or your classes. And I'm going to turn it over to Teresa.
Thanks, Lori, for sharing this great experience with us today. As you all are beginning your school year, if you have parent nights, math nights, some time when your students and your parents are together, What a great way for your students to showcase that they know how to do things like drag and drop, add the order, make a polygon out of the line. And even if this exploration is just about learning the tools on Google Docs, it's a great launch into perimeter and area. So thank you, Lori, for that one. I did want to finish us up here on our last couple of slides. Slide 123. I'm super excited to announce I've finished the book on teaching math at a distance for grades K through 12. This should be up on the Coming Soon site on Corwin on Monday. So that is coming out, and I'm so excited to share many of these things that we've done in MATHurdays with it. Finally, I'll answer any additional questions in the virtual parking lot. As of tomorrow, I will have more on Eventbrite. You all were my guinea pigs. I had to see how it worked out. And so I'll be adding more to that, and then hopefully we can continue this community. On slide 124, I did have a video, if you wanted to take a look at it, on how you can incorporate this into Geometry and Algebra 1. That little video will show all the different rectangles and why the perimeter is smaller for squarish and larger for rectangular-y. And it's a great connection to our algebra students. All right, folks, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'm going to stay and answer questions in the virtual parking lots, but you all continue to share your ideas, continue to, expand your students' thinking, and have a wonderful weekend. All righty. Is there an easy way to lock slides? I went ahead and I put a link for how to lock them there. Can you clone more than one shape at a time? Somebody wrote yes and yes. I typically do them all on their own slide deck so that it's faster for me. But if you wrote yes and yes and you have a trick to show us, I'd love to hear.
I might be misunderstanding the question, but I was thinking if you just drag your cursor around the whole, like however many shapes, and then Control D, it will clone, and keep hitting Control D, it will clone them all. And then you can line them up with, arrange them to align horizontally, like at the top or the center, however you want to do it. I don't think I'm explaining it right, but I might be misunderstanding their question.
And you know what, I can share my screen here so we can have a common one to look at. Tracy, I will have information for you soon. Corwin and NCTM have co-published it. And so on their Coming Soon sites, I'm expecting it to be on Monday that we hear from it. I'll be able to give you that information. As far as cloning multiple, this is an example of what I've seen. We might hit Control D and make many of these, but yet when I bring them together,
Yeah.
they kind of all stack on top of each other. They don't align nicely. I don't know if there's a trick that anyone else knows for that.
If you have the shapes going across, like horizontally, and then you select all of them, not select them, but drag a square, or a rectangle around them with your cursor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can align them to the top or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? Or you can now select, or you can, if you group them first, I think, and then duplicate them, and then you just drag them into the stack.
So aligning them horizontally does help us to group them together. Neat. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. If I group the original ones first and then clone that, then duplicate it and drag it to the so making like a deck of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, the deck definitely makes sense to me.
That's the only way I've done it.
All right, there was that. All right, let's see other questions. How to connect slides to breakout rooms. Typically what I do is I just have students have like color-coded slides, much like you just did there. They'll still want to be working in Google Slides and not in your teleconferencing platform. I know it's weird kind of moving between two tabs or two windows, but I promise you, even my little kindergartners picked it up quicker than I expected them to. So, keep teaching them that life skill. Have you used Jamboard? I don't know. I'm going to let you all speak to this one. I definitely have not even explored Jamboard yet because I am so inundated with tons and tons of other things. But I know some people are loving it.
I have used Jamboard and it has been really helpful. I used it with fifth graders last week. And it's like Google Slides, so you basically you can put on the background whatever image you want. So you could attach the shape to the background and have students draw on it. And it works just a lot like Slides where you can duplicate pages. The difference is that they have kind of more whiteboard tools like pens and highlighters.
Very cool. Yeah, I can't wait for it. I did move the video down a slide just because it was taking up so much of the room there. But again, you can see that kind of parabolic shape in there.
But one of the things I noticed on Jamboard is that you can't copy it as easily as you can the Google Slide.
Okay, that's a good tip.
No, I take that back. You can. You go underneath under where the numbers are and you click on duplicate and it'll duplicate the slides. What's hard to do is that you can't, like in Slide, you can go to File and say make a copy. In Slides, you can go to File, make a copy. I haven't figured out how to do that in the Jamboard, where you want to make a copy of the whole, Jamboard that you have there.
I know there's a way, but it's in a different spot, and maybe you and I can email back and forth about that. Let me put my email in the chat.
And Robin also just mentioned that there was a new thing. Google has been updating like crazy recently, adding new things.
Is that Lori? You just did it.
Yes, you're Robin, correct?
No, I'm Naomi.
Okay, Naomi. Thank you, Naomi.
Yeah, I have to figure out a way to copy it the way you can copy like an entire presentation like in the Google Slides. I haven't figured out how to do that in the Jamboard.
I can help a little bit with that. So when you're in your Jamboard, and hold on, let me get to one so I can talk through it.
Stacy, can I make you a moderator so you can share your screen with us?
Sure. I am not any expert, but absolutely. Okay. Share. Okay. So let me actually go to a Jamboard.
You can go to it right from Teresa's. Right, File, and then
can you see my
new? No, you can't. You have to do new, right? You gotta go to a new one.
Okay.
Like yeah. In the drive, right? You have to be in the drive to make it new.
Okay.
I don't see anything.
You have to go down to more. Go down to more.
So I'm here where it says share content, right? So shouldn't it just be share application screen?
Yes, it's share application screen.
Right.
You're on the Jamboard now?
I'm on Jamboard
on that
now.
Share application screen, you actually need to click the screen that you want to share. It's funky.
Wow. Okay, so I hit this and then I hit the screen I want to share.
Is she sharing her screen now? Okay.
Can you see it now?
No.
You have to hit that blue share button at the bottom.
And then it says share now.
I don't see that. Hold on.
The make a copy is the 3 dots next to the share button.
Okay, and you can make a copy. Oh, great. I see that. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay. I
Yeah,
can't even
okay. That's great. Thank you for that.
We're a Zoom school, but if you hit on, did you figure it out?
Yeah, the 3 dots next to the blue share rectangle.
No. So if you go onto your Jamboard and you know where it has the page numbers.
Yes. You can duplicate there.
You know what? It will say expand frame bar, and then there's frames. You hit on it. You hit on the one that you want to duplicate. You hit the 3 dots and then duplicate.